For decades, passive income meant owning something expensive. Rental property, stocks, a business, or intellectual property. But something strange is happening now. One person with a laptop can build systems that once required employees, agencies, and thousands of dollars. And that creates a much bigger question. If machines can now perform parts of the work behind an income stream, does passive income finally become accessible to ordinary people? Or are we simply watching another internet promise dressed up in futuristic language? This story is not about pressing a button and waking up rich. It is about something more important: leverage. AI can reduce the cost of producing, testing, organizing, and distributing digital work. And that changes the economics of building small businesses. The old equation was simple. You worked, you got paid. Stop working, and the income usually stopped. Passive income attempted to break that equation by turning one-time effort or capital into something that could continue producing value later. You probably know the feeling. You finish work exhausted, open your laptop, and tell yourself you should build something on the side. But after answering messages, making content, finding customers, and doing administration, your passive business starts looking suspiciously like another job. This is why many side projects die. Not because the idea was terrible, but because the owner becomes the entire machine. They are the writer, designer, salesperson, customer service department, analyst, and accountant. The business cannot breathe without them. Now imagine removing some of those repetitive tasks. AI can draft content, summarize information, organize customer questions, generate variations, analyze data, and accelerate production. It does not eliminate the business. It changes how much human effort the business requires. That is the first shift in thinking. AI is not necessarily the income stream. AI is the machinery behind the income stream. The money still comes from solving a problem someone cares enough about to pay for. Think about a simple digital product. A person has a painful problem. You create a useful solution. Package it clearly, put it where people can find it, and build a system that delivers it automatically. AI can help with almost every step except deciding what people truly value. The system becomes interesting when the same work does not have to be repeated manually. A customer discovers the offer, receives information, makes a purchase, gets the product, and enters a follow-up sequence. One system can serve many customers without repeating every action yourself. A useful way to think about this is to imagine a tiny company with invisible assistants. One helps research, another helps draft, another organizes information, another analyzes performance. You remain responsible for the decisions, but the amount of repetitive labor surrounding those decisions can shrink. Here is where the economics change. If creating something costs you 10 hours once, but selling it requires only a few automated steps each time, your effort becomes less tightly connected to every dollar earned. That is the foundation of scalable digital income. But here's what almost nobody realizes. Automation does not create demand. You can build the most sophisticated automated system in the world and still earn nothing if nobody wants what it produces. AI makes production cheaper. It does not automatically make your idea valuable. And this creates another problem. When production becomes easier, everyone can produce more. More videos, more ebooks, more newsletters, more software, more advertisements. The scarce resource stops being production. Attention becomes scarcer. This means the new passive income game is not simply make more. It is be worth noticing. 1,000 people can generate similar products. The person who understands a specific audience, solves a specific problem, and earns trust can still stand apart. This is why calling every AI side hustle passive income is misleading. Most systems require maintenance, marketing, quality control, customer support, taxes, and reinvestment. The goal is not zero work. The goal is work that keeps producing value after you finish the original task. There is a psychological trap here. When people hear AI passive income, their brains often skip straight to the reward. They imagine money arriving while they sleep. The difficult middle disappears from the picture. That is present bias turning technology into a fantasy. Then social media makes the problem worse. You see someone claiming they made thousands with AI, and suddenly your own progress feels slow. You do not see their failed experiments, advertising costs, audience building years, or the 10 ideas that never worked. This creates another behavior, tool hopping. Someone discovers a new AI model, then another automation platform, then another course promising a better system. They keep upgrading the machinery without ever building something customers actually need. The advantage is therefore not knowing the most AI tools. It is knowing what should be automated and what should remain human. Judgment, positioning, trust, taste, empathy, and understanding the customer are difficult to automate because they begin with context. The biggest change may be the falling cost of starting. A person does not necessarily need an office, employees, or expensive software to test an idea anymore. AI can compress parts of the process, allowing individuals to experiment with businesses that previously required more resources. But lower barriers have a darker side. When more people can enter a market, competition increases. The internet can become flooded with average work. So while AI lowers the cost of creating, it can also lower the value of generic creation. That pushes us toward a new economy of trust. When content becomes cheap, credibility becomes expensive. People want to know whether the person behind a product understands their problem. The human signal becomes more valuable precisely because machines can produce endless alternatives. There is another hidden risk, dependence on platforms. If your customers, traffic, payments, or audience all live inside someone else's system, the platform controls part of your business. A policy change, algorithm change, or account problem can suddenly change your income. And this may be the most important distinction. AI can help you produce faster, but production alone is not an asset. An audience can become an asset. A trusted brand can become an asset. A customer list, useful software, intellectual property, or recurring subscription can become an asset. Imagine two people. Both work 10 hours. The first spends those hours completing tasks for clients. The second spends those hours building a system that can serve clients repeatedly. Both worked hard, but their future options may look very different. That is where compounding enters the story. Not just financial compounding, but effort compounding. A useful video can attract viewers months later. A product can sell after you finish creating it. A process can improve every time you learn from the data. But here is the part that changes everything. The people who benefit most from AI may not be the people who use it to work faster. They may be the people who use it to stop doing work the same way entirely. So what should an ordinary person actually do? Start with a problem, not an AI tool. Look for something people repeatedly struggle with, complain about, search for, or pay someone else to solve. That is where opportunity begins. Then build the smallest useful solution. Do not spend 6 months creating a perfect business nobody asked for. Test the idea quickly. If people respond, improve it. If they ignore it, learn why and change direction. Only after something works should you automate aggressively. Ask one question repeatedly. What am I doing manually that happens often enough to become a system? That question turns AI from a shiny toy into an economic tool. But keep the human layer. Review important outputs. Protect customer information. Check facts. Listen to customers. Make the decisions that require judgment. The goal is not to remove yourself from the business completely. It is to move yourself toward the decisions that matter. For most of modern history, earning more usually meant becoming more valuable as a worker. AI introduces another possibility, becoming more valuable as an owner of systems. That does not make labor irrelevant. It means leverage can sit beside labor instead of depending entirely on it. Small businesses may feel this shift first. A tiny team can now accomplish tasks that previously required several specialized roles. Recent reporting suggests AI adoption among small businesses is already widespread, although deep integration remains much lower, showing that experimentation is ahead of true workflow transformation. We have seen a similar shift before. Digital platforms expanded gig work by connecting workers directly with customers. Today, platforms can connect people not only with customers, but with tools that help them create and deliver the service itself. And there is an unglamorous side people often forget. Income is still income. In the United States, for example, the IRS says gig income must generally be reported, including part-time and platform income. Anyone building an income stream needs to understand the tax rules where they live. Here is the paradox. AI makes production abundant, but human attention remains limited. Your time remains limited. Trust remains limited. Good judgment remains limited. The more technology creates, the more valuable these scarce human resources can become. This means your moat may not be the AI you use. Everyone can eventually access similar tools. Your moat can be the audience you understand, the reputation you build, the problem you solve, and the relationship customers have with your work. Most people will probably use AI to make more things. Fewer will use it to build systems. Even fewer will build systems around problems people repeatedly pay to solve. That difference may become one of the most important financial divides of the next decade. So perhaps the question is no longer, how can AI make me passive income? The better question is, what can I build once that keeps creating value? That question leads somewhere completely different. Start with one problem, not 10. Find one painful task people repeatedly face. Understand why it is painful. Learn what they currently use. Then ask whether technology can make the solution cheaper, faster, simpler, or more convenient. Then build one repeatable system. Maybe it is content that attracts customers. Maybe it is a digital product. Maybe software solves a narrow task. Maybe a service becomes partially automated. The model can differ. The principle stays the same, repeatable value. Then choose an audience you can understand deeply. General audiences are difficult to serve because everyone wants something different. A specific group with a specific problem gives you something much more valuable: clarity about what to create and why someone should care. And finally, build an advantage that becomes stronger with time. Better customer knowledge, better data, better distribution, better reputation, better systems. That is how an AI-assisted side project can gradually become something more valuable than another temporary hustle. AI did not change the oldest rule of money. People still pay for value. Businesses still compete for attention. Customers still demand trust. What changed is the amount of leverage one person can access while creating and delivering that value. Real passive income was never about doing nothing. It was about building something that can continue working after you stop performing every individual task. AI makes that architecture cheaper and faster to construct. But the foundation remains human. Solve something meaningful. The next decade may not reward the people who simply work the fastest. It may increasingly reward people who know how to combine human judgment with machine leverage. Then turn that combination into something customers continue choosing.